It's Coach Greg Doucette. I'm an IFBB Pro bodybuilder, and due to popular request, I'm doing a video on the cycle that Eric Kanevsky took. Now, I have no idea who this guy was, but I had dozens and dozens of messages asking for me to talk about this guy. So, with no further ado, let's get into it. But before that, I am not anyone's doctor. This is just entertainment. This is just a joke. It didn't actually happen. He didn't actually take this. No one took this. It's all pretend and make-believe and for fun. So let's get into it. All right. I'm going to be watching this video for the first time, so I don't actually know what it did. So I'm going to watch it and see, but I heard it was pretty crazy. I watched his intro. It sounds like mine. So it's don't break the law. I forgot to mention that. And he didn't actually do it. It's his fictional friend that took it. And so don't actually ever copy this because no one in the world would actually do this for real, all right? I'm 7 minutes into the video, and I'll point out the good and the bad. The good is he gets his blood work done, which I always tell people to do. That way you know if you're screwing your body up really bad or not. And based on his blood work, he's really quite good. So whatever he did do didn't really affect him that much. I feel like his gear is underdosed or fake, or he's making up what he actually took. Because I personally think that it is physically impossible to take some of the doses that I hear he's taking and to get blood work back that is that good. If it is, well, he's just Superman. Super freak, he can just take anything he wants, okay? Now, he showed some pictures before and after. So basically, he was a muscular fat guy. So a big muscular fat guy. He had a lot of muscle, but a lot of fat. I saw his pictures. He looked really bad. He looked like he was at the first show 8 weeks out, and at the second show when he was peaked, 4 weeks out. So basically, whatever he took, and I keep telling people this, steroids don't make you shredded. Every single last one of you can get shredded to the bone if you're in a calorie deficit and you do your cardio and you eat properly and train. Everyone can get ripped. Everyone. Everyone. Okay? So stop using these excuses. Oh, it's genetics. I didn't use steroids. But you could be 100% natural and get leaner than he was in that video. Okay? Surprised this thing's monetized. All right, the first thing he says is he doesn't use DNP. And do I believe him? Of course I believe him. Why would he lie about not using something? He's saying everything else he takes. DNP is a very dangerous fat burner, he points out. He says, I don't think anyone really uses that. Trust me, a lot of people use DNP. I don't. I will never use it. I'm against it. It's very dangerous and deadly. Please don't ever use it. He says he was eating 4,000 calories a day to start at 317 and losing 1 pound a day. That just shows how much this man was eating in his off season. That's just asinine. When you have to lose that much weight, you tend to lose a lot of muscle in the process as you diet down. So bulking up, although you put on more size and more weight while you're doing it, when you diet back down, you're losing it all. Okay, next, T3. He says he doesn't need it, makes him look flat. Based on his photos in his final showing, I would say T3 would have probably been of benefit. It would have probably been the thing he needed the most. Maybe take a little bit less gear and a little bit more fat burners that would help him out. I think he can look much better at his next show by staying lean in the off season and not abusing steroids to that extent and maybe adding in some fat burners. So he then gets into a spiel of how I don't know anything about SARMs. So he knows nothing about SARMs, admittedly knows nothing, as in zero knowledge of SARMs. And then he says, the only people using SARMs are little Jimmies on the internet that don't know nothing and they're scared of using steroids. Well, this little Jimmy has used steroids, and this little Jimmy uses SARMs too, and this little Jimmy knows about SARMs and how they work. And if he knew what I knew, he could incorporate that into his preps and look even better and not abuse all the steroids that he's abusing. So maybe 10 IUs of GH. 10. That's a lot. But it is a common dose for those who are really well off, rich at the highest level and can afford it and just don't care and want to abuse it and just go nuts. 10 IUs is a lot. All right, he then goes on to explain his off season. And he's like, I really wanted to do 5,000 tests and 20 IUs of GH, which he said was his off season. This is just stupid. I just don't get it. Why would you need to do that much? I mean, does he not want to have a long-term future? When you abuse steroids like that, your body gets used to taking that much, and then to get gains, you need to keep doing it like that. So we have 350 Trenase. Well, for a guy using 3,000 test and 750 test probe, that is a small dose. I would never recommend to anyone to use Tren an entire prep for 16 weeks. So technically, it's a high dose, but for him, that's low. 350 Masterone and Enthate. 350. That would be like me saying I'm going to drink a quart of rum and then I'm going to take a sip of beer to add to it. It's like, it's so nothing that why even bother? It's just ridiculous. Then he says for an anti-estrogen, he uses 1 ml of Arimidex. Well, without saying the strength of the product, you don't know what it is. And people tell me that all the time. I do 1 ml of this, 1 ml of that. I'm like, well, if you did 1 ml of Tren, is it Trenase or Trenenth? Was it dosed 100 per mil, 200 per mil? You need to know this. So 1 ml of Arimidex, it might be 1 milligram. That's 1 ml. It might be 5 milligrams. It might be 0.1. We don't know. So I can't comment on how much Arimidex he used, but I can say that in his off season, he used none. So think of none on 5,000 tests. Do you think none of this is converting to estrogen? You think he's, just because he doesn't get gyno, he thinks he's not getting any negative side effects? You need to do blood work and see what's happening. Your estradiol levels need to be checked. You need to know. You can't just go by, okay, I don't have gyno, I don't need to worry about anything else. There's other things to think about, okay? Now, on his prep, he says, you want to kill estrogen because you're prepping. Well, that is bullshit too. You don't want to have estrogen at the show so that you can look as shredded as possible, but 16 weeks out, you don't want to kill your estrogen, lowers your sex drive, all kinds of problems. So week 2, he decides to up his Masterone to 700 milligrams. Whoop-de-woo, like, why not just start at 700? It's like there's no magical reason here why he would have done it. I think he probably just had maybe that much was left in the bottle and just said, oh, I'll just use it up or something, because it doesn't make sense. But anyway, all right, fat burners. ECA stack, ephedrine, caffeine, aspirin, common fat burner, works great, twice a day, whatever, that's fine. If he wants to do that, it's cool. Clen, he started it way too early. He started at 20 twice a day, which for his size, I mean, maybe probably could handle that. It's more than I can handle, but I'm obviously a lot smaller. By the end of prep, it was at 150 micrograms. This is not good for your heart. Even though you're getting blood work, you're not getting your heart analyzed here. Like, it's not like a total body $3,000 exam. Blood work is good. It tests for some basic things, but it doesn't give you a full spectrum or full idea of your true health long term. You don't know exactly what's happening to your heart. So I would caution anyone, Clen to be used for an entire prep is a bad idea. That's just too much. Ephedrine and caffeine, that's a lot safer. It's over the counter. It's not, it's just not as hardcore. He also says he switches from masked nth to masked prop, which to me is just so annoying. The props are always dosed at about half the amount of the nths. So you're going to have to do double the shot volume, and you're going to have to shoot it more frequently. And if you're already doing an enthate, why not just keep going with it? But maybe he had a bunch of props sitting around and he just wanted to use it up. We're now 5 weeks out from the show. He added in 600 milligrams of Primo. So it's a very minor change. I mean, if I would have said anything, I would have said, well, let's lower the test and up the Primo and the Master on these things. He did up his trend dose from 350 to 525. I mean, it's getting closer to show, so it makes sense. You're increasing the strength of the cycle. After 8 weeks or so, the body's kind of getting used to what you're taking. You need to give it something else or something added to actually keep growing into the show. As far as the orals, he switched from 50 D-ball to 100 Anadrol. That's about an equivalent type of a dose. D-ball is in fact stronger than Anadrol, so it's very common for people to use Anadrol in higher doses. I have used 100 milligrams of Anadrol before and had acid reflux so bad I would get up in the middle of the night to throw up. I couldn't eat. I felt sick. I couldn't bulk up anymore. I was trying to break the world record in the bench press. I was trying to get as heavy as possible. I couldn't eat. It was too much for me to handle. For this man, no, he just says 100's great. Felt awesome. No problem. But he's big and everyone's different, so I'm not not going to say it's not true. He probably did this. He also added 50 milligrams of winstrol, so that's going to increase the strength of the cycle, and 25 milligrams of proviron, which is going to do nothing with the amount of things he's already got in there. It's like my example of taking a sip of beer when you've already drank a quart. It ain't going to make no changes. He is now at 3 weeks out, I just saw, and he's doing 300 milligrams of Anadrol a day and having no side effects or problems. Now, I have to question if this is real Anadrol, because if you've tried it and it had gone into any kind of a higher dose, then you know what I'm talking about. 300, now I have heard of a power lifter who wrote me once who was doing 300 milligrams of Anadrol, and I just wrote, it's gotta be fake. Because I was just like, there's no way anyone could take that much. I don't know. I can't just say he's lying about it. I mean, I think he's telling the truth. I don't think it's real. Maybe it's underdosed or something. Because how can you take 300 milligrams of Anadrol when I'm barfing on 100? It just seems crazy. And then there's serious side effects and stuff. And 300? That's a sick amount of orals. Then he says, oh, I'm taking Tudka. Anyone that watched that video, don't think, and this really ticks me off, people think that they can take something else to counter the effect. So, oh, I'm taking Tudka, so I'm okay with taking 100 milligrams of Halo. No, you're not. It's going to help a little bit. Not enough to excuse the abuse that you're doing with the orals. It's going to help a little bit. Not enough, okay? It's just not enough. It'd be like doing 30 minutes of cardio after you ate a 7,000 calorie, I'm a hot fit girl cheat meal day. Okay, it's not enough to counter the 7,000 calories you ate. Then he's got like some kind of discount code, and it's almost like it's an ad. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. All right, I wrote this down because there's so much stuff that added. Okay, at 3 weeks out now, he's gone up to, okay, he's already gone to 300 milligrams. His test is at 3,750 and all. His Masteron Probe's at 875. That's not crazy. Like, I've done almost that much Masteron before. Trenace is at 700. I've done that much for 2 weeks and had to stop because it's a nightmare. You want to like kill yourself. You can't sleep. You're sweating. It's just disgusting. The mental part of it, it's just not cool. 800 Primo, no problem doing that. Almost anyone can handle that and not feel like garbage. This is like the safest injectable you can do. 100 milligrams of Winstrol a day, not uncommon. A lot of people do that. Proviron at 75, not uncommon. A lot of people do that. Letro, 1 ml. We don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's 1 milligram, but we don't know how much Letro is doing, but he's trying to completely kill the estrogen, which I'm okay with because it's 3 weeks out from his show, and so he does want to start to dry out at this point. Oh, the battery's almost dead. What in the world? I'm just going to keep going. 2 weeks out, he hires a new coach. Coach 2 weeks out. That's great. That gives him lots of time to figure out his body. That's going to be fantastic. So this is what he does. He cuts out the test end. Awesome. Of course he should. You got to get rid of this test. You're on way too much test. It's going to make you bloated and look like poop. Okay? You don't want to look like a bag of milk on stage. That's way too much test. Cause too much bloating. 1,050 Trenace, he's still got that. He's still got 800 Primo. I'm not even going to go into it. He's still got a lot of shit in. He tells him to cut out the 300 Anadrol, which is, of course, smart, but he doesn't. He doesn't even listen to the coach. What's the point of getting a coach you're not going to listen to? We didn't like the idea of cutting it out. 300 Anadrol. Any coach that says to do Anadrol for a show doesn't know what they're doing, okay? Anyone that does it is an idiot. It's just that simple. He adds in 100 milligrams of Anavar. Well, I like that because I love Anavar. And he's still on the Winstrol and the Halo, and the GH is at 15, and all the stuff's the same. 1 week out, he actually finally decides to get rid of the Anadrol. Good. He says, cut out the Primo and Enthate. Why would you cut out a product that's holding no water, that's the healthiest in your cycle, that just puts on lean muscle tissue? That is the thing you leave in. You don't take that one out. It just makes no sense. He keeps in the test probe, the coach or whatever. So we're keeping in the test. I take the test out. They just said we're cutting out the test end. So you're cutting out the test end but throwing in the test probe. I don't understand. Test is test, people. Test causes you to hold water. Doesn't matter if it's an enthate, cypionate, Undeconate, deconate, it doesn't matter. Just, you don't want that test. If you're going to cut it out, you got to cut it out. So the final week, he lowers his dose of 1,400 tren to 1,050 because that's going to be just so much healthier, right? And his masterone prop is 1,400. That's a lot of masterone. I mean, but it's not the worst thing in his cycle. He's Proviron is at 100. I just don't understand how he's on like a baby dose of Proviron. Like the last week, like I've done more than that. So there's my girlfriend in the background. I see her there.
Oh.
Is that underwear? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh.
Is that live?
She doesn't know. There she is. Anyway, Proviron 100 milligrams a day. For a guy that's on 300 milligrams of Anadrol, why isn't he on 300 Proviron? That would make more sense. I mean, I've done 150 Proviron, and that's fine at that level. So, I mean, he's way crazy on some stuff, and then lowballing it on others. And the healthy stuff, or healthier stuff, he's lowballing. I don't understand that. Luckily, he says, don't take this cycle. This is what I'm doing. He's not suggesting anyone copy this. He's not like that. He is a coach, so he does offer coaching. So as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, is this not Boston Lloyd? Have I not seen this somewhere before? I swear it's like Boston Lloyd, and he ended up being a coach too, and he was using crazy cycles. It's just almost like he maybe he watched Boston Lloyd growing up, and he wants to copy it. And he says, it's the reality of what you need to do at my size to turn pro. You need genetics and hard work to turn pro. He obviously doesn't have all those things, so he's trying to make up for it, as many people do and think will work, by taking absurd amounts of steroids. That doesn't work. If you want to be a good pro, you should be able to almost be pro natty. I'm not even kidding. If you need cycles like this to turn pro at 23 years old, when you're 50 pounds away from being big enough to be a good pro anyway, you're never going to get there. You should start natural. Train natural as long as you can. As long as that is, whatever that age is. Then you get into it and you do small doses, small cycles, whatever to get some results. You don't need to gain 50 pounds your first year. Just take your time, spread it out. Training is fun as long as you're making gains. Remember, I started taking steroids because I'd capped out my genetic limit. I couldn't get any better. And so it was no longer fun to not get stronger and not add any muscle. It just gets boring. He's 23. This is going to happen at 24. He's not going to be able to get any bigger because he's already on silly doses. So if he was to say, take 1/4 of this, it would be plenty. He would probably only be 10 pounds smaller than he is. And the next year he could double that dose and still be on half what he's taking and gain another 10 and then take more and then gain more and more and work his way up. He doesn't have to get it all at once. So he's too greedy for gains at the first second of his cycle. Like, it's just like, grow now, grow now. It doesn't work like that. He's doing it totally the wrong way. So if you want to see what my crazy cycle is, it's going to be blooped up bloop, 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 somewhere up here in the future here, up here, and follow my coaching, gregdoucette.com. I have all my plans there, and there's the girlfriend in the back again. And follow me on IG, Greg Doucette, IFBB Pro, and we're out.